And I remember, like, I thought, like, the world was ending. I just seen people going to churches and praying, like masses of people, like they knew what they did wrong when they were seeing me doing this stuff. Like, no one was recording it. I'm surprised it didn't end up as, like, 100 viral videos of me going around New York screaming, "You're going to hell." But they were, like, looking in shame, like they knew what they did, and, like, when I would say something, they wouldn't have a response to it. It was really weird, and I still haven't made sense of it yet. And I just remember that, and I was going in stores, and nobody was, like, serving me, and I was so thirsty and stuff. And I remember I got really annoyed, and I thought money or anything didn't matter anymore, and I didn't care about it anyways. I took, like, a stack of money I had in my pocket to get through, because I was still positive Christ was going to come back or send help for me. And I remember I was in front of the place where all these people were, and I stomped a pile of money on the ground, and I was like, this is the paper that you guys think are worth more than a human life, and why you did evil things over a piece of paper like this just to make a statement. I remember stomping it out and, like, crushing it into the concrete because I was just so upset, and I thought these people knew what they did, and they got, like, judged already, and I was just annoyed, and I thought just money didn't matter anymore. And then I was just, like, so exhausted. I was like, I need something to drink. And then I just went into the store because they kept denying me, or these demonic creatures would just flood the store and just build up a line, so I'd be, like, waiting in line for, like, an hour, and just, like, it was just really crazy, like, just to block me from doing every little thing. And I remember I was pissed, and I still had some money after I, like, crumpled it, and there was, like, a drink for, like, $2, and I put out a $10 bill, and I went to the front of the register, and I was just like, I thought they were, like, all blocking me on purpose. That's what it seemed like. It was really weird and supernatural. And I remember I just slammed a 10 on the table. I was like, I'm grabbing this. I was like, I don't care. I'm not waiting in line. And because I thought, like, God was about to come back. And after that, I get back on, like, a city train, and I don't really know New York like that. It was, like, a bunch of letters, and I got back on this train, and I took it to Grand Central, and I was like, okay, I need to get back to my first mission and find my friend who got me into Christ upstate, even though I don't have a phone or know anything, but I still had money to grab a ticket. But people were giving me false directions. I didn't know the towns. So I get on this train. I thought it was going upstate. It was just going to, like, the outer suburb parts and stuff. I remember I was just so tired that I was riding the train back and forth and kept paying extra $25 when they were trying to kick me off, because it was comfortable. It was like one of those, like, high-end trains, and I was so exhausted and didn't even get to rest. I'm sleeping there, and they're like, you have to get off, and I'm like, I want to ride back and forth. And they're like, okay, with another $25. And I still didn't care about money. I was like, here's $25. And I remember these cops go on the train. They're like, you can't sleep on this, and, like, where are you going, buddy? I was like, I didn't want to talk to them because the cops were acting the worst, demonic. And I remember I was like, none of your business. And I was, like, all mad because I thought they, like, knew what they did and got judged and were trying to, like, hurt me. And it was just like this everywhere I went. And then I remember I was like, I'm not telling you anything. It's none of your business. Like, whoa, you already missed your stop. You're gonna have to. I was like, okay, I'll pay again. That's fine. Just leave me alone. And they had, like, an attitude, and they're calling me, like, a dumbass. And then they left. And I finally got off at a stop called Cortland. And Cortland, New York. And it was, like, all woodsy and stuff, and I thought I was close to upstate New York, where I had to go where my friend was, which was near the Canadian border. Come to find out, I was far from it, more near New York City. And but it looked all woodsy and stuff. And I remember I was, like, walking up just highways and stuff, like just trying to trek it. And like I thought like God would lead me to my friend's house, because I remember I kept taking walks and would end up at random places. I would end up in random places like churches or something, like, and I know they had some sort of thing to do with a sign from God, because some of these things make sense later on through this. Some of them I'm still trying to figure out what it was about, because it was just like so much crazy supernatural stuff, mostly like dark. And yeah, so I'm walking up the highways, and these cars, every time I get outside, it starts up again, and like people who get on the train just start staring at me with these weird looking faces, like dead people, and just like wondering what I'm doing, sit close to me when there's all these cars, and just sit like staring at me and doing like weird things, evil looks. And I remember I get off and I start getting followed, like everywhere I go. I would just call these people dead people, because that's what they looked like. And I remember I'm walking up the highway, and I have no idea where I'm going. Like I don't feel like asking for directions at this point, because people keep throwing me off and being rude. I feel like I'm just being lied to for everything. So it's like, I'll find it on my own. God will show me. And I remember I keep walking up and stuff, and I end up cutting through this forest and train tracks. And I'm like walking and walking, and it's almost nighttime. I'm walking through tracks, and I'm jumping like barbed wire fences, and like I'm in this like really, I keep going uphill, like the tallest peaks. And I remember I keep walking and I keep trekking, but I'm exhausted. Like after all that's happened, it's like I was out of it completely, and was so hungry and want rest. And I just really couldn't at the time with everything going on. And yeah, so it starts getting dark, and I'm cutting through people's like lawns, and I'm like collapsing on in the like a rich suburb, like I'm collapsing on people's lawns, just like trying to gain some energy. That's how weak I was feeling. Like my legs couldn't even hold myself anymore. And I'm like cut up by thorns, like cutting through barbed wire fences, walking through vines. And then I remember I keep going through yards, jumping fences, and I get to the top, and there's like a bunch of mansions in the middle of nowhere, like really rich mansions with like Tesla machines, like, in my head, like I remember seeing something like in a Jesus group how Tesla like summoned demonic like entities or something, like that's who was like showing him his technology. And I thought like Tesla things were just so demonic, and I was like, thought these houses like had something to do with it, or like they were, I don't know, like it's hard to explain, because what I seen was not normal, these people. And I thought they were like part of like this demonic cult serving Satan, just trying to like kill me or something. And I remember I'm like, oh yeah, before I cut through, I'm like going through train tracks and stuff, and it's like they look abandoned. And then I'm like keep going up, and I remember there's like this, I need to get to the other side, but there's this crumbled apart, like rocks falling off, stone bridge that looks like it's been there for hundreds of years, like vines growing out of it. And like I get up there, I had to like climb up, like rock climb, just to get to the top so I could cross it. And there's holes in the bridge, like, but this is a rock bridge, so there's like giant holes, like, and it's so sketchy looking. Like one false move and I'll fall to my death. And I remember I'm like walking over, being careful about my steps, and like watching out for the holes. Like just this crumbled apart vine, like bridge that's been grown in the vines. And I'm walking across, and out of nowhere, these two giant trains go on each side of the tracks and start blowing their horns like really loud, like, just like I said, like, these people were programmed just to know where I am. And like, it like catches me off guard. I'm like terrified trying to watch my step crossing this bridge, and they're coming in synchronicity, both lined up parallel, about to come under the bridge. And I'm like feeling the vibration from there. I'm like thinking in my head, is this thing gonna fall apart and like collapse? And they're like beeping their horns, so it's like even worse, like a horror movie. I'm crossing a sketchy bridge, and they go underneath. And these trains are so powerful, like oil trains or something, that I felt like the whole thing shaking. I was like, okay, this bridge might give out and I'm gonna fall to my death on the tracks and get like smashed by a train. And it's like they wait for me to be in dangerous situations and like strike. And I remember it was just like, it just reminded me of like a horror movie or something. It was so like bad. And just the timing of these things, like, it was like these people knew where I was all the time, or when my back was turned, or when I was in a dangerous position. That's when they would like try to get me the most. And so I finally make it to the other side after those trains go by, which like caught me by surprise and like scared me. And then I get to like the top of these mansions and stuff while I'm like jumping barbed wire fences. I remember I jumped this barbed wire fence in this facility, and the door was open and it smelled like death in there. And I took the elevator up. And it was like empty, and there was like this weird noise, like a fly buzzing. And it just felt like just like the worst horror movie, but it was really happening. And there was like this certain smell I would smell, like I smelled it before during this, and it was like this smell that smelled like probably how death smells like. It was like the worst thing. And every time like I smelled that, like I felt like I was in one of their places, or the presence of them, because it would be different places but the same nasty smell. And it was just really eerie. And I ended up going to the second floor, going through another door, and it cut through the back of the facility. And that's when I start going more uphill, end up in these mansions. I'm like cutting through people's garages, see like a Tesla machine, and like think they had something to do with this, or like know what's going on. And like these are like the kingpin demon servants or Satan servants, I don't know. Like, I wasn't thinking rational, but the way these people were acting, looking, was not normal. And I don't care what anybody says, what I seen like looked like dead people, and they all looked the same. And they all knew where I was, and like they were like being programmed, like they weren't acting on themselves, just acting really abnormal. It was like scaring me, and it still happens like sometimes, but not as much. And yeah, so I get to the top, and I just start getting really annoyed, and I'm like lost, like, and there's no other way out. And I'm like, I climbed up here for nothing, just to be at these like top of this hill with these mansions. And I'm like getting this hopeless feeling again, and I'm so frustrated. And they had these weird, I would see these weird solar lights with this light. It would be like an orange color, but it's the same color of the specks of lights in the UFO things I saw, like the same tone of color. And the light would be moving differently, like a flame or something. And I seen these in these people's yards, and I got pissed, like there was some like demonic device. It was like a different colored light, and it would like move. And I remember I picked them up and I started smashing them, and I was like really like angry, and I was smashing their lights when I don't do stuff like that. I was just exhausted, mentally exhausted, and like thought these people were like enemies of God, and like they had some weird like demonic technology, because these things I was seeing weren't normal, and they would have certain like looks that I've never seen in anything else before, like certain lights or things I've never seen in my life before. And like the electric current would just be different, like it had like life, or it was moving, like it was weird, and like a different color. And so I'd smashed those, and I remember there was like no way. Like I cut through all this barbed wire train tracks and stuff, and there was like no way out of it. And at the bottom of this people's mansion, I see this big pond lake near the train tracks, and I'm hearing like these geese, all these. That's what's something weird that happened too. Like since the start, animals would be acting like crazy. Like when I would be near them, all the birds would fly to me and start chirping as if they were like trying to tell me, like they knew like the animals could feel the presence of God. Like they know like his presence or who's serving him, and like they would start acting freaky and fly in your position, and you just know it's like a divine intervention. Like these birds like know whose spirits or what. Or like animals in general, like I've been followed or by like wild deers, not even scared, just coming close to me. Just crazy stuff like Dr. Dolittle or something, and they would not be scared of me when before like these things would run away, or if another person would come they would run, and they weren't even scared or anything, up close to me acting like it wasn't a big deal, like they were trying to tell me something, moving their heads like in certain directions. I thought they were trying to tell me something that I didn't know yet. I remember hearing these geese, like they would start like making all these noises, like they were calling me down to the lake. And I'd walk down, and I was like, okay, I think all I thought was about Jesus walking on water at the time. And I was like, in my head, like God wanted me to test me to see if I trusted him to walk through this lake. And I really didn't want to do it. It was